we're now in a position of the same uncertainty we were in back at the end of March, really, fearful for what the next 3 months hold. So the December gains will be quickly lost by not having most of the business open. But with having a year's worth of experience, I guess, where the equivalent time last year we were in absolute despair, and this time we got a huge degree of optimism and confidence that we know we get great support, and we know that support will mean that we won't go under and that we will see this through. And I think the great thing is about Liverpool, very hopeful that people do take public health really seriously. And if anyone can get out of released from national lockdown more quickly, it's going to be the Liverpool City region, because we did last time, and I'm confident that we can this time, whenever that is, February, March, or April even.
It's weird, isn't it? Because obviously it is so bleak at the moment, such terrible things happening right now in the city region and across the UK. But there is also that light at the end of the tunnel. Mass testing, as you say, is going to get bigger and more prevalent. Plus the vaccine use has got to be good for us. And there is that kind of hope at the minute too, isn't there?
Oh, there is. I mean, I think that we're clearly not going to face a year like we did last year, and this does feel like the final hurdle we've got to get through. The difficulty is knowing when that's going to be, and just how virulent this strain is that's around. But I think, for our industry, hospitality, where as an industry we're resilient and good at adapting, but that's still not going to stop a lot of great places not surviving, not because they weren't good enough, but because they've been the victim of circumstance that they've got no control over. I mean, we would have been one of those if we didn't have our deli and our online business and the incredible customer support. And it was never I don't think it was ever a conscious thing, because we've always sent out monthly emails and newsletters, usually telling people the latest event we're running or the latest product that we've got in. But back at the end of March, I suppose without thinking, just started telling people what was happening, what we were going through. And I remember at the end of March, we were getting people saying, how can we help? And I was really fearful about selling gift vouchers at that point, because I thought, if we sell vouchers, we don't know if we're going to be around in 3 or 6 months for people to redeem them. So I just said, look, if you want to help, go online, order some chorizo, padron peppers, cheese, because we can get that out to you. That's going to help us use up stock and bring a bit of money in. And we just got the most immense support. Straight away, our online sales from that went up 3,500%. So I think 3,500% is 35 times our normal sales. I might be wrong. It might be 350. I used to be good at percentages. It's a big figure. I think it's 35. And that carried on through lockdown. And I just started to write each week, I think partly because I had so much going on in my head. I needed to say it to someone, and I couldn't offload and bore my staff or Elaine, my wife. I thought I was going to tell our customers what it's like, what's happening this week. And I did. I sent this weekly email, and it was more this sort of crazy stream of consciousness sometimes. Just what was in my head was pouring out, but always telling people, look, if you want to help us this week, buy some, whatever it was. If we had I remember at one time we had a load of pate. And, pate doesn't last forever. And I think we had about 300 tins of it. And you know what? I put that out one week, and within 10 days, it had all gone. And that was brilliant, because, that brought in about £1,000, which, enabled us to bring staff off furlough and to emerge from this stronger. And I think we started to talk a lot about that in recent times, how much stronger than we are now than we were in March or April. I don't know if accountants would agree with our definition of strength, because, one small Liverpool independent business, and we have more than £1 million of debt, which is a horrendous figure. But a lot of that is the government debt. And I hope the bank manager doesn't watch this, because we're expecting and hoping at some point it becomes like a student loan that you give up paying, because it's just too big, you never pay it off. And we've got a lot of landlord debt, and we know at some point probably in the next few months, we're going to have to sit down and discuss that, what happens with I think our calculation was it's about £350,000 of rent we've not paid in the last year that we need to address. But we're hoping that they'll stay supportive, and the government will introduce something to support the commercial property sector as well, that will see us pay off some of that, but then have some of that written off. But who knows? But our strength is more that we can trade in a different way when we're closed through lockdown, and we just get the most incredible support. Just phenomenal. We can get all the way through Christmas. We were sending out every day about 500 parcels for 2 weeks. It was we looked like an Amazon warehouse back of house. Nowhere near as big. We had no equipment, no robots, just 10 of us working literally every hour of the day to achieve the dispatch we needed.
We were talking off camera before, Peter, and we mentioned about supporting local, and how much people in Liverpool, and I'm sure right across the country, have done just that. We've seen it on the Guide Liverpool, hundreds of people every day, hitting our directory to find out how they can support local businesses. You're a great example of that, because your online store, as you mentioned, the deli, is flying, and that's all local people wanting to help, as well as get good food delivered to their door.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it is. And you know what? So we've got a lot local. We do a huge amount nationally, which is a combination of Scousers who've moved away, people whose kids have come to university in Liverpool. So they visited for the 3 years they were here. They came to the shop or to the restaurant, loved it, and are now back living, I don't know, Newcastle, Brighton, but they want their fix of Spanish food, and they remember us and they support us. Through to, I think, just people who have, randomly visited Liverpool, but have kept that connection. And it is, I think the thing we did very unwittingly, because we've never had a plan or a strategy in this, there was never any time to think about what do we do, but people have been really, really eager to support independents that they have a connection with, whether or not it's on their doorstep, or they have, a connection of they just like the place, they love the place, and want to support you. And I think if you speak to anyone in hospitality in Liverpool, they will tell you that the local support has been absolutely incredible.
It's been amazing.
That's why the ones of us who are here, most of us are still here because of that support.
Peter, I read a stat the other day, I think it was Hospitality Action that put it out, and they said 50% of businesses within hospitality and leisure simply won't survive this. And I've said that post-February, post this lockdown, it's going to be a real struggle. First of all, do you agree with that in terms of people that you've spoken to within your industry? Second question, and I'm sure I know the answer, is has there been enough support?
I think, taking that first one, there clearly will be casualties, and I think it's impossible to estimate what that is. If someone had asked us that question last March, we would have said we'll have gone under in a month. And how wrong, can we have been nearly a year later, where we're not going to go under unless something else happens. I think you'll see real variations. I think London will be badly hit. I think anywhere with incredibly strong business districts, Manchester will be badly hit. And we closed our restaurant in Manchester, and looking at what's happened since then, it's a good job that we did, because Manchester city centre has remained like a ghost town most of the week, because the people in the business sector in the likes of Spinningfields and other areas just aren't there to go out and have breakfast, lunch and dinner and sustain it. And I still think we'll see casualties in Liverpool. Not everyone has supportive landlords, and I think if your landlord isn't supportive, it's going to be very, very hard to pay the rent that you owe and come out of this with the trade that you're doing. And that leads on to the next one, I think, about the government support. We've been real sort of vocal critics at times about government support, and also really supportive about some of the things that they've done. And clearly hospitality has been the major beneficiary of government support initiatives, because other industries have been left high and dry, and lots of sort of freelancers and self-employed have been left high and dry. But hospitality, the grants that were given last April and May, I think, to restaurants. We didn't qualify for those because we were based on rateable value, and we were told our rateable value was too high. We were desperate for that. That would have made all the difference. But those who got it, it made a really big, decent difference too. Furlough's been brilliant for staff, but actually hasn't financially helped businesses at all. In fact, there's a cost, even now, when we're paying our staff furlough, we're having to pay the employer's national insurance and pension, which when we're open and partially trading, we can manage. When you're closed, and most restaurants are closed with no income whatsoever, finding that that national insurance and pension contribution is really hard from zero income. The council have been really, really good and supportive. We benefited from a grant to get new outside furniture, which has really improved trade. The council have administered some grants as well that have made a difference. But if we hadn't have had our online, we wouldn't have survived with the government grants that were there. And the announcement yesterday of £9,000 for 3 months in effect for a business. Our fixed costs across our two restaurants are about £18,000 a month. So if we're closed for 2 months, we'll have £36,000 of new debt, and we'll have a £9,000 grant. And it can feel like being really mealy-mouthed, but it's helpful, but not helpful enough. And I've made this point, partly because we went into lockdown when we celebrated 10 years old, being 10 years old, and we just collected some interesting facts and figures for what have we done in 10 years. And one of them was we've paid £8 million in tax, which is great as a business. Elaine and I came from working in the public sector. We know our funding for what we did in health and social care and education came from taxes. So it's really important as businesses and individuals that you pay it. But I think also if the government want that tax to continue for another 10 years, they need to borrow to support businesses to get them through these next 6 months or so, to make sure that we and everyone else is there to pay that tax, because the country can't afford us not to be around to pay another £8 million in tax. And that's just us. Think about every other small and large business in Liverpool. Our total tax contribution is really important to the well-being of the country.
What would you say to any other business owners now, Peter, small businesses, whether they own a restaurant or something else? What would you say to them? Many people struggling right now. What advice would you give as someone who is coming through the other side?
Well, I think our own learning has been never to panic, no matter what's happening. So, our immediate thought was when we hit the buffers was when, the bank's not going to help us at all. Well, actually, the bank have been brilliant all the way throughout, very supportive. We've got the government-backed loans that we need, but they've also shown an interest and support in what we're doing as well. So I suppose the first one is never to assume that that you're in on your own and people, some other businesses or people won't help you. In Liverpool, a group of us have created this hospitality support group of restaurants. And it's just a WhatsApp group. When I say just a WhatsApp group, it's probably the most incredible support, that just naturally and organically happened. Is get involved in that, because whatever you're going through, everyone else is, and everyone's got some ideas that have worked for them or haven't worked for them. And I think, our biggest learning has been to try and adapt and change to whatever challenge that's come around. So takeaway food for us now is a big part of what we do. Doing cook at home packs is a big part of what we do. And I think what we've learned through cook at home packs is that when the restaurant's open, these days we've got 90 covers, 90 seats. You can only have one person sitting on each chair. You can only have 90 people in your restaurant when you're full. With the cook at home packs, there's 60 million people in Britain. Okay, and say maybe 15 million of those are kids, 10 million don't like Spanish food. There's 30 million people who may like to get some patatas bravas or bondegas or something sent to their home in Hartlepool, Aberdeen, or Bournemouth. And so you can create these other channels, and that's what we've done. It's hard. You learn a lot. You have to invest a little bit in getting, the right sort of packaging and the right setup. But That's been a lifeline for us. And all of the things we started during the first lockdown, we will stay for as long as we're around. They're not lockdown initiatives, they're new ways for us to be a restaurant and a deli beyond the boundaries of the city region.
Well, listen, it's just a great kind of example of positivity to come out of all this, and it's great to see you smiling, Peter, and to see some positive vibes
Mhm.
coming out of Lunya. Just tell us why we should check out your online store and your deli.
Well, we've got 1,200 stunning, uh, personally chosen Spanish food and drink products that you just don't see anywhere else in the UK. We've got a range of our own frozen food, frozen meals to make at home, and these great deli packs that just give you that perfect weekend treat. Whether or not you've been in work or not, open a bottle of wine, have some cheese and meats, and most of your cares in the world go away at that point. Only for a short time. They come back when you finish
Then you
the
hung
pack.
over the next day, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But you know what? We send those all over Europe, or we used to send them all over Europe. These days, I think we will just send them within the UK because Brexit's put a halt on sending anything at the moment. But it's it's a place of joy. Our website, we don't sell anything that you really need. We only sell stuff that you really want.
Seriously, check it out, and it looks great as well. It's really easy to use. Also available on Lids, which has been another
That's
success
right.
story of 2020. What's the rest of 2021 looking like, Peter? I know it's hard to predict, but how are you seeing the next few months for yourself and for hospitality?
I mean, for us, for the next few months, we think we'll be concentrating on our online and delivery. We're starting to plan a new menu. We're hoping to get a spring menu out as soon as we reopen. And something we never did last year in April, we're planning to test out our Christmas 2021 menu and get some flyers out in May because we're very confident that it's this Christmas, it's not next Christmas, this Christmas
Yeah.
coming up will be a year of great Christmas parties, and we want to be ready for that. And we think we're going to have a really, really busy year. That I think people have this huge pent up demand to socially get out and eat and drink alongside others. That cook at home packs are great, but they don't replicate that being in a busy, bustly environment where other people are enjoying themselves, and that will never be replaced online. And that's why I think restaurants, bars, and pubs, and all of us who do get through this are in for some very, very good times when we do.
And listen, I'll be in as well as the incredible food. It's my favorite beer on tap in Lunya as well. They've got a Straya on tap,
Fantastic,
which is
isn't it?
incredible stuff. But Peter, thank you so much. Give our best to Elaine as well and all the team
Good.
at
Cheers. Mate.
Lunya and Lunya Lita down on the Albert Dock. And we'll check out that online store. Best of luck for
Great stuff.
2021.